It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome. It's an exciting Friday on the Sports Blitz. Looking forward to a lot of good stuff on today's show. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter inside the Cogswell Motors studios. We're going to talk with Coach Fuller from the Russellville Cyclones soccer team and Coach Matt Long of the Russellville Cyclones baseball team, as both are headed out of town for state championship action. The soccer program taking on Greenwood tonight, 8 o'clock in the state championship game, and the baseball team will be playing Marion tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Both of those in Fayetteville, right across the street from one another. Well, actually, I guess the softball field is right across the street from the soccer field. But Baum Stadium is going to play host to the Russellville Cyclones. Talk about a dream come true for a lot of these guys.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. Anytime you're in a state championship, Mark, usually it's held in a venue of a large school, obviously university. So for the Russellville Cyclones baseball team getting a chance to play in Baum Stadium, we know it's home to one of the best teams in the country, one of the best programs in the country, in Arkansas Razorbacks. And you talk about dreams and always wanting to play at a stadium and always wanting to run those bases and run in that outfield. You don't have an opportunity to do that, but it's really about keeping focus on the task at hand. It's great to be at Baum Stadium, but it's even better to come home with a state championship from Baum Stadium. And so I know that's what Coach Long and company are going to be focused on.
Yeah, that's leads to a couple good questions that I think we'll be able to ask Coach Long. See, one thing about both of these teams, and you'll have to forgive me if you watch these teams and you think that this is a crazy statement, but I didn't see these things coming. Now, a couple of years ago, both soccer teams go to the state championship games, both of them win. Everybody in the state saw Russellville coming that year. They knew they were really good. This year, it seemed like Russellville was kind of up and down in both boys and girls soccer, and the girls soccer team was a heartbreaking loss away from being in the state championship game themselves. And then the baseball team, Weldon made this point the other day, a couple of years back, they graduated 7 or 8 seniors. A couple of them went on to play college ball, and you got Derek Brzezinski at Arkansas State right now. You've got a Jones kid at Crowder. You've got Chelino, I think, is at Crowder. You've got several guys who played college ball who were the bulk of the returning players that year. When they go, they had a rough time for a little bit, and now they're coming back up. Russellville's baseball program, as far as youth baseball, RYBA, has been really good for a long time. They travel around and they play well, and this team has kind of gelled together at the right time, and here they are in the state championship game. Yeah,
and you make a great point about the importance of those youth leagues. I don't think you can sustain any degree of a high school program if you're not strong from really the youth league on up. And you look at the Russellville area, baseball has really been the main sport as far as at the youth level. Now, obviously, there's football, there's basketball, we know that too. But in terms of rallying the community, the funding, parental support, the travel, the big-time exposure, really baseball in this area, Mark, has been the sport that's really garnered most of those resources. And you're seeing it by the team being able to field a competitive roster.
And then, like you said, the soccer team has, for years, been Russellville. Man, it's a hotbed for talent and just athletics altogether. And the soccer team, we'll talk with Coach Fuller here in a little bit. He and Blake Young doing a really good job with that team to get them back into state championship consideration, and here they are going to take on Greenwood tonight. I know one of the kids from Greenwood is actually a kid who goes to church camp with us, and he's a good athlete. I think he's the keeper for Greenwood. He's a really good athlete. He's one of those guys that he's a really good goalie keeper because he's just got all the energy in the world, and he doesn't care to, Dennis Rodman lay on his head or something, just jump and land all awkward, and he's just that kind of kid. So they're going to have a tall test on their hands tonight. I guess that's tomorrow. No, that's tonight. The baseball game is tomorrow. So 8 o'clock tonight, you've got soccer facing off against Greenwood. Saturday, 3 o'clock, the baseball team will take on Marion, and we'll talk to both of those coaches as soon as they can get free to give us a call. I've just normally we try to put people on at a certain time with these guys going on traveling to their state championship games there in Fayetteville. We're just asking them to call whenever they get the chance. So we'll be talking with Coach Long and Coach Fuller here in a little bit, but we've got a whole lot of other stuff to get to today. While we're thinking about local sports, we need to tell you about the Brightest Stars Banquet. Still got lots of stuff going on with that. I picked up the plaques for the winners. Got those. They look great. We're putting the finishing touches on those ourselves here in-house. Emily Young doing that, and man, I could give my paycheck to Emily. She's done a whole lot in the last month or so for the banquet. So we're looking at finishing up all the final details, all the boring stuff you don't care about, like insurance and registering and paying for the facility and all that stuff. So we're doing all those things behind the scenes so that we can put on a great event out there May 29th at Russellville High School at the cafeteria. I talked with Ed from Help Network, and on his end, everything's going good. He's got all the presenters lined up. He's got decorations and those types of things. Maddie's working on the presentation. We're going to do a little it's going to be sweet. You think about the Oscars and the Academy Awards and those types of things where the winner doesn't know. They're sitting there, here are the finalists. There's a camera shot of the finalists, and then the winner is. We're going to have our own sort of spin on that next Thursday night, 6 o'clock start at Russellville High School's cafeteria. The reason we chose Russellville High School is because it's a central location. You got to think about coming from Hector and Danville and Clarksville and Atkins and sort of central.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a good turnout from fans and families and friends. Want you to know a couple of things real quickly. I wish I could have made this a little bit more simple and clear, but I guess I've made it a little more difficult than it has to be. This year, we're going to do it this way. Next year, we may change it up a little bit, but as of right now, all the finalists, the top 3 finalists, this is what I'm going to do next year. I'll just go ahead and explain it to you before I go on. Next year, I'm going to try to find enough sponsors, business sponsors in town that will sponsor the banquet that we can just say, show up. First 600 show up. You don't have to pay anything. I'd love to be able to do that. But this year, we weren't able to get as much in sponsorship, so we have to sell some tickets to make the thing float. We'll try to get away from that. But this year, the finalists, the top 3 in each sport, there are 22 awards, 3 finalists for each one. They get in free. So we've got a list with all the finalists on it, with all the coaches and with all the presenters and sponsors, and those people just show up. I'm Michael Perry. All right, come on in, Michael. Your 2 parents get in for free, and your head coach get in for free. All they have to do is say who they are, or you're right there on the list. You go on in, and then everybody who has a ticket, who bought one online, your name is on the list too. If you bought online, so you don't have to worry about printing anything out, bringing anything with you. If you bought a ticket online, your name is on the list just the same as the finalists. You just show up, tell them who you are, mark you off the list, you're in. If you bought a hard copy ticket at one of the local locations, you can go to Pottsville High School to their front office, Russellville High School to the Gardner Athletic Office, Dardanelle High School to their front office, and Clarksville High School and Lamar High School to their front offices. Those are, we've got very few tickets available left at those places, but if you need a hard copy ticket, if you cannot buy online, you can get a hard copy ticket there at the school. They're $25. You hand in the money, they hand you the ticket. You bring that ticket, you get in. That's the only way we know you bought that ticket is if you have the thing with you, so we have to have that hard copy ticket. But the online, we'll have proof of, and Weldon, although it's a little more difficult than what we may have hoped, we're looking at having a great event next Thursday.
Yeah, it's really coming together, Mark. If you were here in the studio, you would see that the conference room here in the office has the plaques, has the certificates. Everything's being ready to go. We're going to put everything together next week. So you know it's here. And anytime, and we've said this before, anytime you're putting together an event, it's year one. There's obviously going to be some uncertainty from those who are outside of it. They've never seen it before. And then from us within, there's going to be a little trial and error. But I think you've done a great job. I think everybody who's been a part of it has done a great job of really figuring things out and getting things to where it's going to be a great product. It's going to be something great that you can be proud of, proud to attend. We've said this before. If you have not already gotten your tickets marked, you need to go ahead and do that. I know you've got some things with the caterer. You need to get some numbers turned in. So if you're confident that you're going, go ahead and make that purchase. It'll make it a lot easier on everybody.
Yeah, because those of you who haven't bought yet, you're waiting till the last minute. You got to understand we've got to get food for everybody, and we don't want to have a whole lot of left over because we have to pay for it. So what we have to do is give the caterer a round number as far as how many folks are going to show up. What I'm going to do is probably add about 50 to that for the folks that'll show up at the day of the event. Maddie gave me the idea to possibly charge more at the door just to kind of give an incentive for people to buy early. I hadn't.
That sounds like a Maddie move. Too,
I hadn't really
like
come
it.
to a decision, but I understand what he's doing. I don't want people. It's already $25, and that's not cheap. I understand, but it is the incentive to buy early. I'll just go ahead and urge you, buy your tickets early so that we can know how many folks are going to come. We can get that number down on paper, and then we can have a little bit of wiggle room for our caterer. Italian Gardens is going to provide that stuff. I talked with Spence, the owner of Italian Gardens, yesterday, and he's already putting ahead of an order, so he's going to make sure that he's got everything well in advance, and we're going to be looking forward to, like we said, a fun event on May the 29th. I'm already sharing stuff around and trying to get you. If you've seen our Facebook post, you go to facebook.com/sportsblitz or facebook.com/RVL News. If you see one of our Brightest Stars Banquet, posts, please share that with any finalists you know. I've been trying to get a hold of as many finalists as I can personally on Facebook and through email and Twitter and those things to see who's coming. And I've talked with several coaches and asked them to kind of ask around for me. But if you know someone who needs to be at this banquet, whether it's a finalist or whether it's a coach, whether it's a nominee, share that on their Facebook wall because I'd like for everybody to know about it. I'd hate to have somebody who ends up winning an award not know. Well, I didn't know that there was a banquet. How was I supposed to get there? So I want everybody to know about the banquet. I want them to be able to come. And like we've mentioned before, I know it's $25 a ticket, and I know that may not be something that you can do, but if you can make it, nominees, I know you have to buy tickets because we're giving them to the finalists, but we can't let all the nominees in free. It's going to be worth your while. We'll be framing up some nice certificates that we'll be giving you that honors you for your coach nominating you for Player of the Year. All the nominees are getting the same thing. All the finalists are getting the same thing. The winner will get a plaque, but everybody's getting this certificate. Maddie, would you grab one of those certificates so we can, because we've got one framed up, and we got a nice looking little certificate there that we're going to be framing up and giving to every single nominee. So those of you who can make it, please try your best to make it, even if you aren't a finalist, because we want you to be there. We want you to be involved in the honor. We definitely appreciate every coach. We had 118, I believe, that were nominated, and it was just, to me, for a first year, it was a pretty cool deal. And Maddie, I think will frame this up for me real quick if you can. But you don't want to put that on camera because Maddie's got the a winner's plaque there, but everybody would know who that was if they saw it. So we've got a certificate here of nomination for, I think this is Tanner Gaines, isn't it? Tanner Gaines from Hector High School. Every single nominee is getting one of these. We're going to honor each one on the night of the event. So we're hoping that we can get as many of those folks to show up as they can. For those that can't make it to the night of the event, we'll be giving these, taking these by each high school so that they can hand them out to their athletes, those that can't come. I know that Boys and Girls State is this weekend, so there are going to be a handful of athletes who can't make it. Boys and Girls State needs to cancel so that we can have our event with all of our folks there. No, I'm joking. I know it's a big honor for those of you that are able to go to Boys and Girls State. Wouldn't want to take you away from an event that you have been looking forward to for a long time. But for those that can come, your certificate of nomination will be waiting there on you, and for the winner, they get to find out on that night that they can win this nice, shiny plaque. We appreciate All-Star Trophy and Awards for helping us out with those.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, I've said this before, you're going to have some scheduling conflicts. Anytime you're at the end of the school year, you're talking about a variety of banquets, a variety of camps such as Boys and Girls State, things like that going on. So it's understandable. We squeezed the banquet in the best time we could, the most appropriate time, and there you can see Marcus displaying a plaque there. You can't really see it because we're not zoomed in.
We can't let you see.
Yeah,
the winner of this.
We can't
girls swimming award. We can't let you see.
But
who
you
that
can
is.
See the beautiful design though, right, Mark?
Definitely. I won't tell you how you could find out who won that if you just wanted to do that, but because you could do it. If you really wanted to find out, you could find out just by what we just did. But either way, it's going to be worth your time to show up, and all the finalists get in free. And hey, I want as many of you guys as can come to come. I found out yesterday that 11 of the 13 finalists are guaranteed to be coming from Dardanelle. I know that Russellville has spread the word around pretty good, and I've talked with several of their finalists, and they're going to be making their way. And Clarksville has pretty much everybody. There's going to be a couple of swimming finalists that can't make it, unfortunately, but there are going to be a bunch of those folks there too. So it looks like we're going to have a good turnout.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be. And, the ones who are there are going to enjoy it, and we certainly understand those who can't. But nonetheless, we congratulate you for your accomplishment.
All right, we got to get out for our first break. The Cyclones send-off today at 2:30. The baseball team there's no way. Yeah. Baseball is going to be the one sent off today at 2:30 from the Gardner Elementary School, the athletic office there behind the school. They're going to be sending off the baseball Cyclones to Baum Stadium in Fayetteville as they prepare for Marion in their 3 o'clock start tomorrow. We'll talk with Coach Long, also Coach Fuller from the Cyclones soccer team here in just a little bit. Plenty more to hit on the Sports Blitz today.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz on a Friday. Looks like Donald Sterling's going to sell the Clippers after all. That's breaking news across the Twitter wire at this hour. Also, the Cleveland Cavaliers are contacting Billy Donovan. Good luck. Good luck with that. We'll see how that turns out for you. And also, Mark Cuban, he's the subject of today's CrossFit Russellville poll question. You take any offense? Yeah, I made one up.
There you go.
Just a little bit ago. Sorry, we normally do a CrossFit Russellville poll question, but I was doing too much other stuff this morning trying to get prepared, and that's a lie. We were basically doing nothing but sitting in there doing show prep, and I just completely forgot.
Well, it's your anniversary, Mark.
It is my anniversary.
Happy anniversary to Mark Freed.
Thinking about going to Olive Garden this afternoon. Yeah, so it's been a crazy month for me. Yeah. Anyway, so today's CrossFit Russellville poll question. Mark Cuban came out with a little bit of an interview the other day about how he has his own bigotry, so to speak, is what he called it. And he's talked about how when he sees a kid in a hoodie, black kid in a hoodie across the street, or over here, he's going to cross the street. Or he sees a white kid tatted up with sleeves and just, shady looking, he'll cross the street.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And, he got a little bit of heat for it. I wonder what you thought about it.
Look, to me, that part of it is not even the bigger part of the issue. There was nothing wrong with what Mark Cuban said, first of all. He's right. You may not want to admit that you have certain biases, but you do. And if you don't want to admit it, that's fine. But don't act like Mark is some unusual case. So to me, anybody who took that the wrong way or took it as if he was coming after people, you're wrong. I'm not even interested in debating or talking about that part. To me, the bigger issue now, granted, this was before we heard about the Shelley Sterling situation this morning, but to me, Mark Cuban had a bigger agenda. He knows media. He knows television. He knows sports and ESPN. He knows how clips and quotes get cut up and taken different ways. So I think this was a very calculated move. If you know Mark Cuban, you know how he's big into privacy and technology. You know how he is. I think he used this as an opportunity to push his agenda without really saying it directly. And I'm not knocking him for it. Here's why.
What's his agenda, too?
I'm going to get into it. Here we go. First of all, Mark Cuban does not want Donald Sterling removed. If you had any questions about it, let's put him to bed now. He does not want Sterling out. His comments lean that way right after the situation, and then the other day confirmed it. And it's not that he supports Sterling's thoughts, but he's concerned about that slippery slope. He sees it right now as, okay, the bond between a man and his team is about the strength of concrete and steel. If we make this move, the bond between a man and his team is going to have the strength of toilet paper, which means I'm a billionaire, I'm high profile, people always try to record me and get me to do different things. I could be next. Any of us other owners could be next, and I don't want to cross that. I'm trying to keep those doors from being open. So to do that, I'm going to make America look in the mirror, and hopefully America will look in the mirror and say, I'm not much different than Donald Sterling. Maybe we need to throttle back. Now, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it could have worked. But I think, in a way, Mark Cuban was playing this so America would look in the mirror and then not jump on Donald Sterling so bad. We talked about in his businesses how if he has a bigot in his organization, he doesn't fire him. He sends him to counseling, try to get him better, because it's not good for anybody to let that person go. He's laying the groundwork to try to keep this thing from getting out of hand. That's the way I saw it.
That's very interesting. Look, I don't know that I would go as far as to say he doesn't want him out of the league. I think he probably would, but I understand where he's coming.
He'll vote that way, though.
He will vote that way, and I do think that he's probably to the point where he thinks, I don't want to be the next one, like you're saying. He doesn't want to get hosed that way. I will come back to it here in just a little bit, because that's a very interesting topic. We've got a caller on the line, Maddie. Who we talking to here? Who we got on the line? Hello?
This is Coach Fuller.
Hey, Coach Fuller. How you doing, man?
I am feeling great.
I bet you are. You guys playing Greenwood tonight in the 6A State Soccer Championship. You guys, what time are you guys leaving it, or have you already?
Yeah, that's why I'm feeling great. We had a fantastic send-off. The whole high school came out, had a police escort. We went by Dwight Elementary. All the kids came out with signs. Went by the junior high. All the kids were out cheering us on. And so we're about to get up here in Fayetteville and eat some lunch and get these guys' legs stretched back out and be ready mentally for tonight.
Wow. Well, I'm sure this is a very, very awesome opportunity for you guys. Let's just we want to get to the game tonight, because it's a very important game. Obviously, it's a state championship game, and it's a very very important day altogether for you guys, as you've already mentioned. But how did you get here into the state championship game? We talked a little earlier about how it seemed like this kind of, I don't want to say that it came out of nowhere, but it didn't seem like that this was the type of team that you would expect to make this type of run this late in the season. But you guys have just turned it on at the right time. You guys have really gotten hot.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about, being hot at the right time. We struggled a little bit in conference this year, but that happens when you play the best 7A teams. We did really well against our 6A teams, had a great preseason. And so at the beginning, we made plans to be here, and that was one of our goals. And so these guys are just finally accomplishing their goals and stepping up to their potential. And, so this is right where we planned to be at the beginning of the season, and they turned it around and made sure it happened.
Coach Weldon Braxton here. I just want you to talk a little bit about the pedigree of soccer with the Russellville Cyclones, because while this season it may not have looked like a state tournament or state championship type team, we've seen this program in recent years always be in the mix and always be competitive. So how does this team compare to those teams you've had in the past as far as state championship caliber teams, and what's been the secret sauce to this program?
Well, it started before me. Gary Stratton did a great job when he was here and led them to the finals once, I know, with Mike, goalkeeper coach's son as their goalkeeper. And so he started the tradition of Russellville teams getting this far and being a competitive program. When I stepped in, I added the fitness part of the program, so we're fit every year and technically know what to do. And so we start early and we work hard. And for 5 years in a row now, we've been either in the semifinals or the finals.
Well, you guys have made, and I remember covering state championships a couple of years ago when both boys and girls won. You guys have put Russellville back on the map and just been very, very good in soccer. Talk about this year's state tournament and what you talked about getting hot. How did you get from the first game of the state tournament, obviously held here in Russellville, to the state finals? How much did that home field advantage help you?
These guys are excited about that all year. I mean, we knew early in the year that we got the bid and that we were going to be in front of our hometown fans, and that meant a lot to them. First round, you get to play a South team, and you're the higher seed, and they're lower, and so it was just a huge confidence booster to play in front of our home crowd and score lots of goals, and that just fired them up. And then that goal scoring caught fire, and we've just kept winning games from there.
Well, let's look at Greenwood tonight. I was talking a little bit ago about how from church camp, I know a couple of these players, and one of them is I think the keeper for Greenwood. They're a very talented team as well. What do you have planned for them?
They're so strong defensively. They feed off the confidence of their keeper making saves for them, and they just know if they get one chance that they can put you away. And so we've talked about all week that we can't get overconfident. Yes, we're going to throw numbers forward so we can make sure we score. And as long as we score our chances, we'll be okay. But we can't throw so many numbers forward that we forget about defending and let them score that one goal. And so, we focused on winning balls in the air, winning set pieces, having good clearances, but then also throwing numbers forward so that we can score goals.
Coach, to me, it sounds like this could be what you would call a classic offense versus defensive matchup. When we look at how we compare things in sports, you guys offensively are very gifted, have the ability to put goals on the board, but they're very good defensively. So is part of your strategy to be, well, let's try to get some goals up, make them play catch-up because maybe that's not their strength, or are they a little bit better offensively?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The plan is to score early, to take pressure off. The longer this game goes without us scoring, the better it is for them. So the plan is to score early and get them out of their game plan and make them spread out and try to come score on us.
Well, we always like to, when we get opportunities like this, to let you name drop a little bit, talk about some of your kids. Who are you counting on to win this state championship game?
Oh, I mean, every one of them really, but, you got to love your seniors, and they've worked so hard over their 4 years, and so I couldn't do it without those guys. It starts with Jose Crisostomo up top, and then we got Miguel Nava, the center mid. Those two guys add so much offense for us. Dennis Molina has been really strong as an outside defender, and then we call him Cheche, but his name is Jose Duarte, is our defending midfield, and really throughout this tournament, those guys have just gelled and played 1-2s around other teams. And so we couldn't do it without them. We got a great group of juniors that'll be back next year, and together those juniors and seniors are going to take this home for us.
Well, I know you guys have had a really good season, had a great run through the state tournament, and looking forward to a state championship tonight against Greenwood. They're at 8 o'clock at, what's the name of the soccer stadium in Fayetteville? I know it's right there on the campus of the University of
I think it's
Arkansas.
just Ladyback Stadium.
Okay.
It's where their girls soccer team plays.
Boy, it's nice. It is so nice. Being over there last couple of years ago, it's a really nice place. We're hoping that a lot of fans will be able to get out and go support the Cyclones this weekend in baseball and in soccer action beginning tonight at 8 o'clock. Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
One more shout-out I just want to say.
Okay.
Saul Sierra, our goalkeeper, he's only a 10th grader, and he's the one who came up with the big save in the PK shootout to get us here, and he's going to come up with some big saves tonight so that we can take this home.
Nice. All right. We appreciate it, Coach Fuller. Slap Blake Young around for me and tell him I said hello.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thank you for calling. That's Coach Fuller, the Russellville Cyclones soccer coach, looking forward to a win tonight in the state championship game against Greenwood. Big congratulations to them on getting this far. We look forward to seeing good things from them in the future, including a state championship tonight. Hopefully we can get Coach Long in here before too long. I hope he didn't try to call while we were on the phone there, had it tied up. But either way, we'll be able to talk with him later, I hope. But back to, I guess it was Mark Cuban. I understand what you were saying about how he doesn't want to be the next guy recorded and lose his team. But man, somebody made a point last night. I'm trying to think of who it was. I was listening to the radio, and they talked about how it was a pattern of behavior for Donald Sterling that got him caught or that got him in trouble, and this was sort of the icing on the cake. When you're having your wife pose as a building inspector so that you can go to the buildings you own, see what kind of nationality these people are that live there, and calling people names and just kicking people out and screening people who can live there and who can't, and just all kinds of terrible stuff that Donald Sterling was accused of. It's sort of, you deserve it. But Mark Cuban, on the other hand, I understand where you're coming from, where he's coming from, and saying, look, I don't want to be the next guy that loses my team because of something I said. At the end of the day, I find it hard to believe, this is a very extenuating circumstance, that somebody's ever going to lose a team just based on something they said.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you're right about, I think the league did use this as sort of the cherry on top. They had a lot of things, but I think you also have to remember, even though they had all that stuff over years, their hands were tied. And so I think, I think with Donald Sterling, what Mark Cuban is saying is he just doesn't want to open that door. In his heart of hearts, if you put him on Truth Serum, you ask him, do you want to vote out Donald Sterling? He's going to tell you no. Now, that vote, they're probably going to make it public, all that good stuff. Well, it may not come to that with this recent news, but he's going to vote to get rid of him. He's even on record saying, if I have to be a hypocrite, I'm going to have to be hypocritical. To me, it's no question he does not want to vote him out. He would rather send Sterling to counseling and fine and whatever. He doesn't want to do it. He knows he's probably going to have to.
So you think him saying that he sends his people to counseling means that he wants to send Donald Sterling to counseling?
See, I think he threw that in there,
Man.
So you would look in the mirror as the public and say, because
that's a good thought.
Because he even said it. Look, if I have a bigot working in one of my companies, I don't just fire them. I send them to sensitivity. I do whatever, because if they're working for me, they're a good employee. So that means that's good for business. It's good for the customers because the product is good. I don't send the problem away. I send them to counseling to fix it. So to me, I saw a lot of groundwork in his interview.
That's a very interesting and deep thought. See, because when I heard it, and the first thing I thought was, man, I got my stuff too. There are times when I step out of the car and I'm immediately at some sort of okay, I see this dude over here, or I see this, this guy kind of looking a little funny, and I don't know about this dude or that dude, and it's not necessarily based on race or one thing or another. It's just shady looking fella looks like Maddie over here with this glow in the dark shirt. I'm just gonna go over here.
Listen, I don't like what you're saying. I think that we should probably all get together and discipline Mark for what he just said.
You should do that.
And that's the direction we're going.
Man.
To Cuban's point, and look, I'm not defending Sterling, but you do have to wonder, do you make it easier? Isn't the bond between a man and his team now the strength of toilet paper if you do this? I think it's a little deeper than that, but I think that's where Mark Cuban's coming from.
See, that I would be if he were coming that way, it would change my mind. If I knew he were coming that way, it would change my mind completely. I like that.
But the stuff he said about the black kid in the hoodie and the white guy with tattoos, that stuff to me is true though. I mean, that stuff is, it's hard to argue with that type of it. But as far as where he's coming from, that's where I think there were some things behind the scenes.
Yeah. Man, well, you've got me to think. Weldon does this sometimes. He just gets me to thinking deeper about something than I ever would have. I judge it on the surface, and he's thinking all. So
that's what I'm here for.
That's what he is here for. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Donald Sterling because it looks like, as of last check here on Twitter, that he has agreed, according to sources, ESPN and others reporting, to allow Shelley Sterling to sell the team. They're forcing him to sell, and he's just going to take his hands off, let her sell the team. Don't know what that means or why he would not just sell the team himself.
He's got to split $1 billion. Oh,
poor
guy.
No, they're not even going to get divorced now. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point now? If I'm not going to be able to keep my team, I'm not going to go through with this divorce and then have to split my money with you too. I'll just let you live with me and be married to me and say no to the divorce. So we'll talk a little bit. Well, we just did. We talked a little bit about Donald Sterling. Plenty more on the Sports Blitz right after this break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz on a Friday. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter, even David Brown over there.
DB.
In the Cogswell Motors studios. We won't be here on Monday, by the way. While I'm thinking about it, we will not be here on Monday. We're going to celebrate the holiday. So we'll be out on Monday.
It's two straight Mondays for you, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I was here in spirit and for half of the show.
That's true.
So that counts, I think. So, yeah, we'll be spending Wednesday and Friday of next week talking about Brightest Stars Banquet and about state championship soccer and baseball and lots of other good stuff that we'll have built up over the time. Obviously, today's Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday are the two NBA games. You've got the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow and the Western Conference Finals on Sunday, and then so we won't be able to break those down on Monday. So by the time we get back on Wednesday, you'll have 2 more games played in each one of those. So that's going to be an interesting little day of talk. We got a plaque going out to be worked on. That was all messing with me. Anyway,
Me too.
But right now, the Spurs are up 2-0 on the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's not looking pretty for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Weldon,
Sure
you said,
ain't.
and the Heat tied 1 game apiece with the Indiana Pacers, sort of like what we expected. These series, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but these are going about the way I expected them to go, with Miami playing a tough series against Indiana. San Antonio, inexplicably, I know Serge Ibaka's hurt, and Tony Parker, I didn't buy that he was as hurt as everybody was talking about. San Antonio was having their way with Oklahoma City, but Weldon, you mentioned before the show that you would have your questions, serious questions about the NBA if what you expect to happen in Game 3 happens.
Look, what should happen, I could even see Oklahoma City winning the game by like 5 points. Like, I don't think that would be too much of a shock to anybody. We know they're going to play. They can't play worse than they've played the first 2
That's
games.
true.
So even if they play a little better, they may win the game. But if Oklahoma City starts boat racing and just, Westbrook dunking and slicing to the hole, and, the crowd's into it and they're just getting to the basket at will, I'm going to be asking, why couldn't you get to the basket at will in game 1 and 2 instead of settling jump shots? Now you know how to do it. But the bigger issue for me is, okay, Serge Ibaka, he's out. Obviously, it puts him at a disadvantage. And with Tony Parker,
There's breaking news that Serge Ibaka is listed now as day-to-day.
oh,
So he's coming back in this series.
and we have to see how, that's big news. We'll have to see how he plays. But for me, I'm disappointed in Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. That's where I'm going to use my time today, because are you really trying to tell me Serge Ibaka is worth a 30-something point loss in game 2? Is he? I mean, he's a really good player, but you have 2 of the 5 best basketball players on the planet, this blue and green planet, and even though I think LeBron James and Dwayne Wade are a better duo, it's not. I could never see them even being close to this. And we've seen Miami's role players be terrible, like Oklahoma City's role players. To me, when Tony Parker was deemed healthy, obviously that put the Thunder behind the 8 ball. Really didn't have any much of a chance. No Ibaka, and then the Spurs have a healthy Tony Parker. But you can't be you can't be the MVP and then another top 5 player and look like that, because the Spurs, Mark, they're a fundamentally sound defensive team, but they're not a great defensive team. They give up 100 points all the time. And for you, look, you don't give up some points without Ibaka, that's fine. But Oklahoma City's offense, Westbrook and Durant, they've gotten frustrated. To me, they got to play better. Their status in the league right now is too great for them to be looking this bad on offense.
Serge Ibaka is game time decision for Game 3. So he could be back on Sunday. A grade 2 calf strain. They either badly misdiagnosed this, or this dude's got some kind of voodoo healing power.
Yeah.
And he can come back from something that's supposed to be, grade 2, that's not less than grade 1. That's worse than grade 1. And here he is coming back.
And you know what's weird about this? I'm going to get your take. And what's weird on it is they kind of left this hanging out there. Like, it was always this cloud he could play anyway, even though they were reporting that grade 2, which I agree with you. That's something you just don't say a few days or whatever. So either they were trying to pull something or they were lying, but the fact that this cloud was always hanging over makes me suspicious of the Thunder. And I don't know, that's a weird situation to me.
And like Weldon said, if they come out in Game 3 and just if Serge Ibaka plays and plays well,
That's
all bets are off.
Right.
But if he doesn't play or play well, play more than a few minutes, and the Thunder come out and just roll, I get the Garth Brooks reference. If the Thunder just come out and dominate, then you're going to hear some folks, like I was talking about on Wednesday with the draft lottery. Are you serious? Cleveland gets it 3 out of 4 years. They have LeBron James handed to them. It's just like a lot of folks think that the NBA is rigged as a whole. And then I would be more apt to agree with the NBA draft lottery is rigged.
Yeah.
Oh, the New York Knicks are in the biggest market in the world, and they've got a chance for Patrick Ewing, a player they've coveted. Now, I didn't realize what all was going to come of that, but they could get Patrick Ewing if they win the lottery. Well, New York wins the lottery. Cleveland Cavaliers, there's this guy in Akron just down the road, and he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Everybody knows it. Cleveland wins the lottery. Cleveland sucks pretty bad because LeBron James left, Cleveland could really use. Cleveland wins the lottery. Cleveland wants LeBron James back. They want to do what they can do to put a team around LeBron that wins a championship. Cleveland wins the lottery. Cleveland wins the lottery. It's just, it's questionable to me.
It is really suspect. And if they're doing that type of things, they need to help out the Milwaukee Bucks too.
Well,
I mean, they got a top pick, but is there a less relevant franchise in the NBA than Milwaukee in terms of just making the playoffs, longest time lapse between being relevant? I mean, it's hard to think of a team. But maybe the Timberwolves.
Who is your team that you're saying?
I'm talking about Milwaukee. As far as they just have not even existed.
The NBA saved them from going to Seattle because they could have been gone.
They could have been gone. I mean, look at Michael Redd. I wish Michael Redd was back because that was the height, in the post Ray Allen. They are just, that franchise is just bad.
Big Dog.
Yeah, Big Dog Robinson. The owner's daughter, she became a celebrity. Had a Catherine Webb situation.
I thought you was calling her Big Dog. I was like,
no, but she went from 200 followers to 25,000 in one night, like another Catherine Webb situation.
I was gonna say they didn't really have any choice. We're Milwaukee. Who are we gonna send to this draft? We're gonna send somebody who's gonna make somebody actually pay attention to us. So let's send the hot 18-year-old girl. Anyway, so NBA playoffs. You got San Antonio in game 2, or game 3, or do you have Oklahoma City? Because it's over if San Antonio wins.
Oh, yeah, it's over. I'm going to go Oklahoma City. Again, if it's close, nothing changes. I still think the Spurs would finish them off in 5. If it's a blowout plus Ibaka is looking like his old self, then I think we have a series. But I'm going to go with the Thunder. Blowout will impress me. A narrow victory, I still think Spurs.
10 points-ish is probably where I'm going with Oklahoma City winning by 10 or less. That's where I'm going.
10 or less?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if it happens like that, I'm still with the Spurs. If they hit threes and all that jazz, loud crowd, and it's 15-20, I say we may have a series.
That game's 7:30 Sunday. Game tomorrow at 7:30, Indiana, Miami. This, I believe, is a must-win game. The winner of this game is going to win this series. I'm going there because Miami's playing at home. It's a one-game apiece scenario. If Miami wins this game, Indiana's lost 2 in a row. Here, woe is me type stuff that Indiana's been through for the last couple months. And they'll be facing that mental hurdle that, we just lost in Miami to go down 2-1, and they've got another chance at us in a day and a half. We're going to get to play them in Miami again. We could go down 3-1 and the series is over. So I'm going, and if Indiana wins this game, Miami's like, crap. We're in a dogfight. We just stole home court advantage, and now we had it stolen back from us. We got to go back to Indiana and win another game. This is a very, very important game. That being said, I'm going to go Miami by around 10, maybe a little bit more than 10.
A party. Yeah, I'm going to go about 3/4 of where you win, maybe half to 3/4 in this. I think Miami really needs to win this game. You've got the most rest Dwayne Wade has had, in this series, and most rest he's going to have. You need to put on a show and win by 10+. You got to win this game. I think Indiana needs to win. Obviously, every time you win, it helps your chances. But they're so fluky. This team, the Pacers, when they're kind of down, when they're kind of looking bad, that's when they respond. If they were to somehow lose Game 3, it still wouldn't shock me if they were able to rally back, win Game 4, obviously, and have home court again. I think, Mark, the Miami Heat, they need to win this game because this is probably the best Dwayne Wade is going to be health-wise because I don't think he can keep up this scoring if it keeps going every other day. And so this is a good rest game for D. Wade.
Scored 20 points in a row for the first time in 3 straight games, 20 points. In 3 straight games, not 20 points in a row. I realized it came through there a couple seconds later. 20 points in 3 straight games for the first time since the 2012 NBA Finals in these last 3 games. And luckily for him, he had a couple days off before Game 3. Looks like he's going to hope to continue that streak. And I'm just going to keep talking while somebody's on. No, Maddie, what?
No, I was going to say, I think it was 20 or 22 points of the game were scored by LeBron and Wade in that game, too.
And they assisted on, I think,
33.
each other's.
Yeah, it's like, I
all
think
of them.
they assisted on, was it all of them in the fourth quarter?
Scored or
Something like
assisted
that.
on
Yeah.
30-something points.
Yeah,
you know.
it's pretty crazy.
They're pretty good. This just in: LeBron James and Dwayne Wade are pretty good. Yeah, that's breaking news off the wire. Looks like the Florida Gators are going to be able to keep Billy Donovan.
Really?
Yep. He says to ESPN, "I'm happy at Florida."
You know, we talk about college coaches making the jump, and I think Cleveland was the team you mentioned as far as the rumor. You know, if you were gonna make a jump, if I'm a college coach and Cleveland gave me a long-term deal to be able to grow with these young players, they already have some young players. They're gonna draft another young star. If you gave me a long-term deal, kind of like Brad Stevens has, I would think about it because. You look at these jobs, a lot of these jobs are dead end. They're bad teams with no assets. So you're not going to get better anytime soon. This would be one of the few jobs I would look at just because it's the NBA, some young talent. I need a couple of years of insurance, but I might think about this. Now, Tom Izzo, no. I need to quit mentioning Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo is too old and entrenched at Michigan State to be dealing with some millionaires that aren't going to listen to him bark. So Tom Izzo is out, but maybe one of these college coaches may look at it.
Tom Izzo runs 4,000 set plays a game. That's not going to fly in the NBA.
No.
Coach, this play is called "We Go One-on-One" because that's what this league is. So, no, whatever you say, Coach, just go sit down. No, Tom Izzo's not going to the league. You're right. It's going to be interesting to see who takes the Lakers job because Kevin Ollie takes a big contract, $2.8 million, effectively doubling his salary to stay at UConn. And a lot of folks have Derek Fisher going to. Isn't that funny how just last year it was unheard of for a player to step off the court and into a head coaching role? Jason Kidd does it, nearly gets fired halfway through the season, makes it to the playoffs, pushes Miami, and Jason Kidd's great. And now everybody wants a player that was a former player to coach. And now Derek Fisher is sitting in the middle of a playoff series in which he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, he is.
For the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's the front runner for the New York Knicks job now that Steve Kerr's turned it down. That's going to start some dominoes to fall in who takes the Knicks job, who takes the Lakers job, and so forth.
Let me ask you a question. Pretend like you're a Knicks fan. I know it's going to be different. Pretend like you're a Knicks fan right now. Do you trust Phil Jackson to the point to where you're okay with him saying no to big names in favor of one of his obscure guys?
Give me a big name.
Like, I'm talking like, let's say they could get Thibodeau out of his contract.
No, you get Thibodeau.
Yeah. But are you okay with that, though? Because Phil's not even entertaining a big name. He wants his obscure guy. Like, if you're a fan, do you trust him to say, I'm okay with that? Or do you wish he would look at some of these bigger names?
There are a couple factors. One, the triangle works if you've got the pieces. So if he can get the pieces, then I'm all right with him going with the triangle. If he could get, I like Derek Fisher. I think he's going to be a really good coach, former players union president, very, very well. He's from Arkansas, so he's awesome. He can be a really good coach in that system. He knows the system. Obviously, played in it for a long time, and I think he'd do a good job. Brian Shaw would have been another one, but he's staying with Denver. I would have liked to have seen him considered because he was the hot. You remember how hot a name he was for a long time. He couldn't get a job. He couldn't get it, but then he was way up there on people's list. If you get Thibodeau, you get him. If you have to go after a retread guy like Mike Dunleavy, please. I mean, you're an idiot if you hire Mike Dunleavy. If you're any other team than, say, Cleveland or Milwaukee or I can't do any better. If you're the Lakers or you're the Knicks or you're a team with any clout whatsoever and you hire Mike Dunleavy, you deserve what you get.
See, that's the thing. I think if Mike Dunleavy went to Phil and said, you know what, we had some battles back in the day when I used to coach, in Portland and other places, but I want to make this work. I want to do something different in my career. I'll take on the triangle. I think he'd be the new head coach of the New York Knicks. And that's what I'm looking at. I agree Fisher's got the upside, but I don't even think Phil cares about upside. He just needs to get his triangle guy in there. And let's just say you could have had Tom Thibodeau. You could have had just any big name coach you want to throw out there. Let's say the Knicks could have had him, but Phil said no to him. I just wondered how that's going to sit.
If he said no to Thibodeau, that would be a problem because he's a top 3 coach in the league. But I'm one that I don't want to retread guy. You're going to have Phil Jackson. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's not going to be on the bench, but Phil Jackson, the coach, I mean, on the bench, he wasn't the greatest. That wasn't his thing. Mm-hmm. It was the motivation off the court. It was the mind games he would play to get people to play their best and those types of things that he would do. And then the system is what helped. It didn't hurt that he had a guy named Michael Jordan, a guy named Scottie Pippen, and Kobe and Shaq, and some of the all-time greats. Yeah. He's probably had more success than he even deserves as far as his coaching ability goes, and there's no questioning that he's a great coach. But I think Derek Fisher will do a good job. I think he's going to take the Knicks job. I wonder who's going to take the Lakers job, though.
To me, the Lakers job, I almost think it's going to sound bad. I think you need to hire a bridge coach. I mean, if I retread somebody, I don't know if I would hire my guy right now because I don't know if I'm ready for the guy. Because I think whoever coaches the Lakers next year is going to struggle. There's going to be some pressure. It wouldn't surprise me if they get rejected by a few other pretty good names. They go get, talking about Byron Scott, everybody's pumping him up. Oh, he's a member of the family. Look, Byron Scott's been some places he hasn't succeeded. Yes, he with New Jersey went to the finals, but I think it's going to be somebody like that for a year or two. Then when they get their draft pick in, we'll see how good that player is, and Kobe will be phased out. Then I think they'll be ready for their long-term coach.
That makes sense. I mean, that's probably what I would want to do in a perfect world, so that you don't have to have another guy come in here and get canned because Kobe Bryant doesn't like him in the last 2 to 3 years of his career. I'm not a big Kobe Bryant fan. I'll just go ahead and put that out there in front. Those that don't know. All right, well, that's a lot of NBA talk today. Sorry there wasn't a whole lot else to talk about. We can talk Razorback football here in the coming weeks. It's going to get to the time when NBA playoffs are over and there ain't anything to talk about. So we'll get to a lot of Razorback talk in those times because right now it's not even fall practice yet. We're not even able to talk about fall practice yet because it's so far away. We saw that JoJo Robinson is going to go by Joseph now. He said, I'm done with that JoJo mess because of all the negativity that entails. All the charges have since been dropped on what was it? Some sort of
robbery type.
Robbery, yeah. He was in a car. Somebody committed a crime. It wasn't him. Charges were dropped. He's going to be good to go for the Razorbacks coming up this fall, which is kind of what a lot of folks expected. But I think it's cool that he's going to get a new start by going back to his original name.
Hey, taking a page out of the Adam Jones playbook. At Itasca, we have a saying, we give our kids an off day, which is not very often, but we give them an off day and we'll tell them, look, people, places, things that'll make you wrong. And, Joseph got caught up in some things he didn't need to be caught up in, innocent party, but we've seen the carnage of people on the outside. We still see those people be affected by it. But speaking of Pac-Man Jones, Mark, let me ask you real quick because I want to get to this beef between Peterson and Sherman. Which one you got? Just straightforward. Patrick Peterson. Yeah. I agree with. I think Sherman's a better technician. I think he's better at his craft as far as the mental side of it. But Patrick Peterson is a world-class athlete, and he is getting really good at his craft.
Well, right now Peterson is in Revis Island mode where people just, or not Peterson, Sherman is in Revis Island mode where people just don't throw at him. It's Nnamdi Asomugha. Oh my gosh, we thought he was incredible because nobody threw at him because it seemed like that one year, every time they threw at him, he picked it off.
Yeah.
And then after that, they figured out, oh wait, if he's anything other than just locked down on a man, on that corner, then he's pretty pedestrian. You put him in a zone, he can't do it. He can lock down man to man. I don't think Richard Sherman is that guy. I think he's a little bit better, but nobody's throwing at him. Yeah. When you look at the numbers, I was looking at some graphic. Joe Hayden had been thrown at like twice as many times. He only had like 6 more completions against him. Yeah. He had a couple more touchdowns. He's a shorter guy. Richard Sherman's bigger. You put a big guy, over there and you throw a jump ball, and that it happens that you throw some touchdowns against him. But I think Patrick Peterson, to your point, is an incredible athlete. And if you've got to take a player, they almost cancel each other out with the ability at the cornerback position. But then you got a guy like Patrick Peterson who can return kicks for touchdowns and all that. He's dynamic.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson, look, he's getting better. He's 2 years younger than Sherman. He's getting better at the mental side of it. Plus, he doesn't have the best free safety in the game playing the secondary with him, and Cam Chancellor, strong safety.
And he doesn't run his mouth all the time.
Doesn't run his mouth. And I got this image in my head of, when Richard Sherman and the Seahawks were playing the Vikings, this guy named Jarius Wright just torched him for a touchdown.
Maddie, you hear that? Jarius Wright Minnesota Vikings, you should have been doing cartwheels
You
over
should
there.
have.
It's the only Minnesota Vikings fan in the world.
Yeah, you haven't seen it YouTube it. It was a double move, and he just lit Sherman up for a touchdown. Jarius Wright, everybody.
Hey, we can't help it. Jarius Wright's from Arkansas, so he's awesome. Just got to know
That's right.
that he's one of the best route runners in the league already as a young player. So looking forward to good stuff from Jarius Wright. Man, I wish Greg Childs could get healthy and get picked up. He lost his roster spot there with the Minnesota Vikings, but hopefully, I think I actually heard that he was trying out for somebody. Is that true? Is he trying out for the Jaguars or something like that?
Maybe so. I think if he can just get some time removed from that injury, he'll be really good. I mean, the Vikings, they got a nice bag of receivers. Jarius Wright's going to be the route running possession type. Look at Patterson. He's going to blow the top off. He's big. He's fast. He's a freak of nature. So, if Teddy Bridgewater can get the football to him, that'll be a good thing. Because Lord knows if it's not Bridgewater, you know who it is. And as Stephen A. Smith says, I ponder the thought. I ponder the thought.
Finally, before we get out of here, we're a little over time, but it's all right. The Razorback baseball team competing in the SEC baseball tournament. Looks like they're going to get their way into a second or third seed. Probably locked in pretty comfortably to a third seed, but if they were to win a couple more games in the tournament, they can move up into the second seed. Lost yesterday to LSU. LSU and Florida, one of those two teams that come into the SEC tournament, and they're like, all right, we're going to win it. Every year they try to win it. And Arkansas sort of a lot of times goes the opposite way. They're just like, we don't care. We're already in the tournament. We're just going to go ahead and rest up here. Well, Arkansas's 2-1 so far, won their first two games against Texas A&M and Ole Miss. They lose to LSU, and now they have a rematch with Ole Miss in an elimination game here today. And if they go back through into the winners bracket, Arkansas will be – I expect them to lose this game just because I don't think they care. I'll just be honest with you. I don't think they care. They're getting ready for a regional. Maybe they can win and get themselves to a closer regional, and maybe if they lose, they'll be a 3 at Oklahoma State or someplace like that, which will be close enough for them to be able to have an easy trip. But Arkansas doing pretty well in the SEC tournament considering.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how the bracket sets up. Arkansas faced the ace Aaron Nola because LSU.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they had their pitching set because they didn't have to play as many games as Arkansas.
Yeah, but why would they wait for Arkansas on the third game, which would be their second game, I guess?
Yeah, I guess it'd be their second
for Nola.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a matchup thing or what, or maybe he pitched even though they had an extra day. I don't know if he pitched later last week and they gave him another. I don't know. But
I was going to say, it seems like you would pitch him early and late in the tournament if you were going to do that. But I guess they're trying to save him for the next week.
Yeah,
too,
maybe
so. Him up.
Like I said, all the series last week ended on Saturday, and so he should have had enough time if he started last. I guess it would be Thursday night. But maybe they waited. Maybe they didn't start him to last Friday, which of course would have pushed him back a day.
The dude's a stud.
He's a stud. Arkansas got a couple of runs, against LSU. But when you're facing Nola, I mean, obviously they can't pitch him every game. That's the problem if you're an LSU fan. But when he's on the mound, you can beat anybody.
Yeah, he's very, very good. I was listening to Chuck Barrett talk about him, and he said he's the best one in the league. It's not close.
Yeah.
So he gave Arkansas fits yesterday, which he does everybody. But like I said, Arkansas wins 2 games in the tournament. For Dave Van Horn, he's either won 0 games or 2 games. I heard Adam Alter talk about this. He's never won 1 game in the tournament, and that's it. He's never won 3 games in the SEC tournament. It's always been no games or 2 games. So it's either we need these 2 games and then we're just, all right, whatever, or we don't need anything, we're just going to lose and be done. And that's kind of the way that it's been for Dave Van Horn at Arkansas with the SEC tournament. So looks like they're going to be obviously firmly in a regional, probably a 3 seed, unless they can go ahead and win against Ole Miss. And is it worth that much to go up to a 2 seed? I would argue that as long as you stay away from one of the national seeds, top 8 seeds, then you're pretty much going to be okay in a regional as a 3 seed. You're not going to be scared of anybody, and I can guarantee you they don't want to see Arkansas.
No, Arkansas is a scrappy team. They can pitch. They'll grind you on the bases. Especially, we've talked about this before at Arkansas. The deeper you go in a regional, get deeper and deeper into your pitching. A lot of these top seeds have great top pitching, but once you get into their pitching depth, they become very pedestrian. So, advantage Arkansas.
All right, it's time to go. Appreciate you joining us today. The final news we'll let you know about here real quickly. It's sad news. Landon Donovan didn't make the U.S. national team, the World Cup team.
Yeah.
Darn, man. Both soccer fans that are watching right now, I'm sorry for your loss. Landon Donovan did not make the national team. He was trying to make his 4th World Cup team, and he just comes up a little bit short.
Yeah, I mean, and look, he's somebody that even you and I, non-soccer fans, know about. So that tells you how much he resonates. He's getting older. I was accidentally watching the ESPN soccer show because it came on after College Football Live, and I wasn't really paying attention. So the soccer show was on. Heard them talk about how he was on the fence. So not a surprise, but it is a deal because he's an all-time leading scorer in U.S. soccer.
All right, we're out of here. Mark Spears said Heat coach Eric Spoelstra said center Greg Oden has had a great week of work and will consider using him in Game 3. Well, that's a freaking shock. Why in the world did you sign him if you ain't going to play him? It doesn't matter if he's completely healthy. He's only going to play 5 minutes a game. Get him out there and let him foul somebody. That's all I'd ask for him. Just go out there and you dunk it if it lands in your hands, and if it comes in the paint, you kill it. That's all I would say. So
you're not going to run a play for him, or you're not ISO?
Post Greg Oden in the post, hit him. No. It's not going to happen. Just put him out there, let him kill somebody, and let him dunk. That's it. The end. That's all the time we've got for today. For Weldon and Maddie and even David over there, he's cracking up. I'm Mark saying so long. We'll see you on Wednesday with more Sports Blitz.